Like, looking at somebody and knowing that there's a possibility that they diddle kids, it just makes everything they do look so fucking disgusting, bro. A leather jacket with sunglasses inside, brother.
Typically what you see is the defense waives their right. They want to get the discovery. They want to get all the evidence.
They ain't gonna want to get this discovery. I'm telling you, mark my words, that Discord has some unholy shit on it. I promise you.
Racist against rappers, they all look the same to him. They used to beg him not to egg him on Halloween. He told him holler back with the suede pumas, dollar green. Nah, I mean, heated up till the temperature tarball. Y'all just gawk like gargoyle.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I rarely say this, but this is one of those cases where I was praying on this man's downfall, brother. David was finally arrested in relation to the murder of Celeste Rivas. Now, I'm gonna be honest, man. The only way it's not David is if he has one of the most terrifying ops I've ever seen, and they perfectly framed this man. Because otherwise, brother, there is no way out of this one. You know what I mean? You're cooked. You're done. So let's see what's going on, man. This nigga just looked like a fucking weirdo.
We are following major breaking news tonight. Singer David has been arrested in connection to the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas.
This is a certified hood classic.
That's what we love to see, baby.
According to the LAPD, this is a case that stretches back more than 2 years to when she was last seen alive. Her decomposed body found in the trunk of David's Tesla late last year.
Mind you, it was dismembered too, so somebody cut her up. Yeah, we're
on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Okay, Chris Stewart.
All right, let's get to this breaking news coming in right now from Los Angeles. A bombshell announcement by the LAPD. I want you to take a look right here. This is the post that was put out by the public information officer with the Los Angeles Police Department on social media announcing the singer, known as David, had been arrested by homicide detectives in LA, quote, for the murder of Celeste Rivas. Now, David, his real name...
Trust me, I do not for a second believe that it could be anybody else at this current moment of time, but if it somehow turns out that it's not him, brother, you're cooked either way. This is crazy. Because why do you have such close associations to a child who is not related to you? If he didn't kill her, bare minimum, he's a pedo. I'm sorry. Bare minimum, bro. Because why do you have matching finger tattoos with a 13-year-old? You have an unreleased song, and her name was Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. She's not even old enough to get a tattoo.
Is David Burke. He is now being held without bond, and he hasn't been charged as of yet. The LAPD says that his case will be presented to the DA.
He's got a fucking Hello Kitty bracelet on. We should have known that. We should have known something was wrong with this brother.
Monday for filing consideration. We're going to go over the process here in just a moment. This is a case that has taken months to get to this point. I know so many of you have been following this, and now it seems like the next step, a major step, is still something that's going to take some time before,
because that's Celeste right here in his live stream, right?
We learn a lot of information about this case, and we'll be talking to former federal prosecutor Nemo Ramon.
I just don't understand how you can have the world at your fingertips and then you throw it away for some stupid shit like this, man.
About that here in just a moment. But as we focus now on this announcement, it may feel like a long time coming because David was announced as a suspect in November of 2025. Now, before we get into what will happen next, I do want to get you up to speed on this case because it is one that has been going on in some ways months, in other ways years. According to the LAPD, this all started in September of 2025, and that is
want to be Lil Uzi so bad.
Is when officers responded to an impounded lot in Hollywood after there were reports of a foul odor coming from a vehicle, a Tesla. Now, that vehicle, it had been towed days earlier after it was found.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, we don't need to hear the recap. We just want to know the updates.
Here we are in April of 2026 with David now under arrest in connection to her murder. The last time she was seen alive, according to her mom, all the way back roughly 2 years ago.
Jesus.
Her mom also added another point about
that's crazy that she literally had to look at her. She had to literally foot it out because she can't afford it. She can't get an Uber. She can't get into a car. There's no other way. She literally had to walk to get picked up by this nigga David somewhere.
2 years ago. Her mom also added another point
fucking weird
about her daughter, and
is she taller than him?
Was that she had a boyfriend
named David.
Now, by late 2025, sources were telling ABC News that David was being considered a suspect in the case, but no charges had been filed. Yet behind the scenes, a grand jury had been hearing evidence in the case, including Burke's reported travel to the Santa Barbara area of California during the spring of 2025 and a search of the Hollywood Hills property where he was reportedly staying, and reports of a high heat burn cage found at that location.
A high heat burn
Then we go
cage?
to January of this year.
What the fuck is a high heat burn cage? Are you telling me that he burnt her alive?
2026. David's alleged close friend, a man named Neil Langston, was arrested in Montana
this
for
weird
failing
ass
to
nigga
appear as a witness in a Los Angeles grand jury investigation. And a week after that, Langston was spotted entering a Los Angeles courthouse and reportedly testified before the grand jury. But since then, for the most part, frankly, crickets in this case. No real developments, of course, until
today.
Now. Joining us now to talk about this breaking news, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Always great to have you on Law and Crime. Big story out of Los Angeles tonight.
You need to turn down the noise gate, brother. Jesus, you sound like you're in a wind tunnel.
Just what's your reaction? Because we have been covering this for so long about David's arrest.
Chris, my reaction is better late than never. I think this was something that we've all been expecting. When a body is found decomposing in the frunk of your Tesla, and
oh yeah, because Teslas have a trunk in the front, so it's called a frunk. No way you really just unironically called it a frunk. Yeah, this unk is lost.
There has been a young girl who's been missing for quite some time, and there's plenty of evidence that she ran away with you or a member of your entourage. I think there was a lot of evidence here pointing to David, and really the question was, what really took so long? And I think my initial reaction
is, what I'm saying.
I live and work in LA. I respect law enforcement. Things can move slowly here. But I think this investigative grand jury, I think, really is the answer. I think the DA wanted to lock in some members of David's inner circle to make sure that they cooperate, they don't go sideways at trial. And I think that's what they were waiting on.
I see. Okay. I mean, I guess they're trying to make sure that this man has no way of slipping between their fingers, I guess. I'm surprised he ain't flee. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even, usually in these scenarios, I would say if it were me, but I'm not even going to put that energy out there because I don't even want to like hypothetically consider myself in the shoes of a fucking pedo. I'm cool on that, brother.
Before they
alleged pedo
ended up arresting.
So the announcement that came from the LAPD.
Well, let me fix that. Alleged pedo. Come on. The writing's on the wall, brother.
His TIO account says he's been arrested in connection to the murder of Celeste Rivas. And then it says that he's being held without bond. And then the case is going to be reviewed by the DA's office on Monday, or it goes in front of the DA's office on Monday. Like, if you can just walk us through the process of how that works, as opposed to them saying tonight, he has been charged with this and he's going to make his first appearance tomorrow.
Well, typically when you're talking about the DA, it's a reactive case. It's not like this. You know, law enforcement, they arrest someone, they prepare a report, that file lands on the DA's desk, and there's a charging DA that makes a decision. It's a little bit different in this case because it's more of a proactive investigation. Obviously,
I can't believe that he really, like, for a 13-year-old, this man threw away, mind you, he has a career that niggas would kill for. And this man threw it away for some fucking 13-year-old. Brother, this is ridiculous.
Celeste Rivas has been missing for quite some time and has been dead for also quite some time. So you have this case that has been worked on for more than 6 months now. I mean, I think, if I recall correctly, Celeste's body was found in September. Yeah. We all saw the video of the car being impounded and that search. Then, of course, law enforcement executed search warrants at David's home, again, months and months ago. So this is the type of case that isn't just a file that lands on some DA's desk. This is a case that is being directed by prosecutors at the district attorney's office.
This nigga is so fucking, like, looking at somebody and knowing that there's a possibility that they diddle kids, it just makes everything they do look so fucking disgusting, bro. A leather jacket with sunglasses inside, brother. You were just screaming.
Grand jury, and we know that a grand jury has two functions. In most states and at the federal level, their function is to indict, but it also has an investigative function. They have subpoena power, so they can subpoena people, witnesses. They can subpoena information.
Get all that information. Subpoena those discords. Subpoena those discords.
And that's what the grand jury was doing in this case. So it seems to me that the prosecution has this all.
I'm tired of them using this fucking thirst trap ass picture, brother.
Buttoned up right now. This isn't the type of case they're reacting to. This is a case where they think we not only have enough probable cause to get that arrest warrant and get past a preliminary hearing, but we have enough to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury at trial.
Yep.
Do you think that this came as a surprise to David tonight, this arrest?
I think given how long it's taken, maybe folks had forgotten about it. But obviously,
nah, we didn't forget about it. We were just waiting. We were just waiting for the day that this happened, bro. This was, trust me, we didn't forget about this. David, you was not finna wiggle your way out of this. This isn't one of those things where if you ignore it for long enough, it goes away. No, hell no, brother. Nah. We was praying on this day.
There's been a lot of attention on this case, and frankly, a lot of negative media attention. Again, I sit here in LA and a lot of folks are asking, what is LAPD doing? How could a young girl be missing for so long? How could her teacher give an interview saying that she ran off with someone named David? How could her body be found in the trunk of a vehicle? I mean, even if it was an accident, that in and of itself is potentially a crime. So why haven't any arrests been made? And I think really now we're going to know the answer very soon. I think the information is going to come out. We're going to have a lot more of the evidence, whether it's witness testimony, cooperators, whether it's electronic evidence, cell phones, social media. There's a lot of people watching. Social media sleuths, detectives, they've followed that digital footprint, right? And they've seen
because they did more work than the LAPD. If I'm being real, bro, they found the unreleased song, they found the Discord servers, they found it goes so deep, bro. Like, I'm telling you, this nigga, he's flash fried, bro. This nigga, it's raps. There's no way he can come back from this.
Pictures, images on social media, the two seemingly together. And I think,
like, why?
All those are sort of bricks in the wall that are going to...
And, like, I hate to say this, but, like, if you know, like, why are you even taking pictures with a 13-year-old like this, brother? Like, this is so fucking... Even if Celeste was still alive, this is still a weird move, bro. Come on, man.
And I think all those are sort of bricks in the wall that are...
And she's taller than you. How is a 13-year-old taller than you?
Going to eventually be the reason that David is convicted in this case.
And beyond that, too, I mean, I think when you think about the LAPD, like, celebrities, it's not a big deal for them in the way that it might be for other police departments across the country. When you look at the timeline, the case, like, certainly has these elements that we followed the developments along the way. But how much did the celebrity of David add to the timeline it took for him to be arrested in connection to this? And we'll see what they specifically accuse him of.
Well, it's interesting. The celebrity factor, people think it helps. I don't necessarily think it helps being a celebrity in LA. In fact,
I think it slows it down.
It draws more attention to it. I mean, obviously, look,
I honestly think it slows it down because there's niggas who are like, I ain't gonna say they're weirdly dedicated because it is a 13-year-old who got murdered. So obviously, there's people who want justice immediately. But I feel like there's people who go too far. They try to take the law in their own hands. They try to do their own investigation. They leak out evidence that the police was probably going to try to like keep to themselves to build up the case and stuff, so that David's defense could possibly like see an angle and stuff. So I feel like when it's a celebrity that's getting accused of a heinous crime like this, it actually hurts the case, because of all of the people online who were going to do their insane amount, their artistically like in-depth analysis of every single picture, message, tweet, everything, and dig up evidence I don't even think the cops would have found, bro. I'm still like I'm of the mind that the cops would not have even discovered that unreleased song had it not been for the internet sleuths. I'm telling you.
You know, the case I kind of give the example of recently, she was just sentenced, Matthew Perry, right? He was involved in a drug-related death. He was a victim. But the fact that, you know, the Ketamine Queen, Jasmine Song, killing Matthew Perry.
The Ketamine Queen? How do you have a nickname like that?
That, and again, I'm not naive. That case was treated differently than the 2019 case when she killed someone with ketamine. So, you know, the celebrity factor draws attention to it. The reality is we're talking about the case here on Law and Crime because it's David. And, you know, there are many young girls that go missing, and I'm not...
Unfortunately, they don't get as much attention as Celeste did, but this is kind of like... It's automatically high profile because a super famous TikTok personality did it. I'm not giving the man respect enough to call him an artist. He's a TikToker, as far as I'm concerned.
Talking about it, I'm not asked to speak about it, and it doesn't make it any different. It doesn't make it any less right. There's women that are trafficked, they're sexually abused, they're victims of violence, they're even murdered, you know, hundreds, thousands every single day. So I think the celebrity factor probably ended up drawing more attention to it, both law enforcement and prosecution attention to the case because of who David is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And even when you think of LA, I mean, we've talked about Nick Reiner recently, very different circumstances in that case. But I mean, just the amount of attention, the amount of cameras at court when he makes an appearance, it's just different than other families that have dealt with issues like that. When you look at this case going forward, I remember Neil Langston, one of David's friends, he gets arrested for not cooperating with this grand jury. What stands out to you just about the way, from at least on the outside, it seems that prosecutors have been going about it?
Dude, I'm being so honest. This dude's microphone is pissing me off. It sounds like it's either he has the noise gate cranked up to 1,000, or he doesn't realize his microphone isn't working right, and he's like getting the audio from his webcam. Like, dude, what the hell is going on, bro?
Yeah, think about that case. If I recall correctly, here's someone who refused to testify before the grand jury, and the DA's office went out of state to get an arrest warrant to bring him back to California. I mean, that's how seriously they're taking this case, if I recall correctly.
And which is weird, bro, because if you're, like, honestly, dude, like, if you know somebody is being weird, like, especially with a 13-year-old, I feel like it's your duty as a grown adult to report that and try to snitch and try to get that man locked up, thrown underneath the prison. Why did he want to testify? Was he because he was terrified of this nigga? I feel like you don't gotta be scared of this nigga as long as you're not some 13-year-old girl. Like, honestly.
So this isn't any other case. This isn't any other runaway. This isn't any other young girl who is the victim of violence. I mean, this case has been treated differently, as it should. Look, I wish LAPD had unlimited resources and time to go after all these cases, all these young girls. Their lives matter, and it's sad that this is unfortunately
look at how young she looks. Like, how do you find this like sexually attractive?
And obviously we don't know what happened here. We don't know if it was an accident, she was murdered intentionally, she overdosed, she was...
No, bro, it's got to be intentional because they said she was dismembered. She was chopped up in the trunk. It's intentional. It doesn't matter. Even if she died accidentally, like, the minute you decided to dismember her, bro, that's when you decided to, like, enter the 8th circle of hell.
Trafficked. I mean, there's all sorts of speculation out there. I don't know exactly what happened. But what we do know is this is a young girl that was missing for quite some time. She had run away at least once before, and it took a very long time to find her. So
how? Because she went missing when she was like 12 or 13, right? And David and her started talking when she was 11. So when did she run away from home before?
I think during that time period, there's going to be a lot of evidence. Obviously, we've seen some of the video evidence.
This is why my kids are not going to be having no free access to the internet, brother. They going to have to watch YouTube and Twitch through their consoles. That's all you're getting.
This time she was seen. Again, I expect there to be a lot of digital evidence. It's going to be a strong case, I think, when it's all said and done.
And when it comes to just kind of how the mechanics of the whole situation works out. So if he's arrested tonight, he's being held without bond. He hasn't specifically been charged with anything. And then you have, on Monday, it's going to go in front of the DA. Like, how are you able to hold him for that long a period of time, even through the weekend, potentially?
So, yeah, these Thursday arrests oftentimes end up with a Monday arraignment because of the time period. Typically,
because even though we're arresting people for murder, we don't work on the weekends. Fucking court systems is crazy, bro. You got these people locked up for murder and you don't work on the weekends? That's crazy. That's crazy.
You have about 48 hours to be brought before a judge, but it ends up being the next court day. So that's why the initial appearance will likely be on Monday, where David will be arraigned on the charges. Those charges will be read aloud in court. Expect his lawyer. I think he already has a lawyer based on some of the statements that were made.
He would be an idiot if he didn't have a lawyer already. Hell, I'm not even going to say if I'm David. If he don't have O.J. Simpson's lawyer, he's fried.
Honestly, expect his lawyer to enter a not guilty plea, and then the process starts. Again, if it's a grand jury indictment, which is not typical, there won't be a preliminary hearing. But usually here in LA, the district attorney proceeds by a complaint and a preliminary hearing. And again, just because there's a grand jury, I believe it's just an investigative grand jury. They'd have to convene another grand jury to indict, and I don't think that's what they're going to do. Typically, what they do is in LA, they charge on a complaint. Then, after some period of time, there has to be a preliminary hearing. And at that preliminary hearing, the judge determines whether there's enough probable cause to move forward to a full-blown jury trial. So the DA will present some limited...
Okay, so this ain't even like... Yeah, this is why these processes take so much time, because there's so many steps. You got to have a trial just to find out if you're going to trial. That's crazy.
Evidence, usually for a handful of law enforcement witnesses, and this process is going to get started.
And that was kind of my next question, because we don't know specifically the cause of death. At this point, we know the state at which her body was found, sadly, but then we also don't know what the charges specifically he's going to face. How much may we learn, knowing how much in LA and in California when it comes to, I think of a state like Florida, and you can find the probable cause document online. How much might we learn on Monday if that's when he's arraigned on something?
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot. Obviously, the nature of the charges. So you have first-degree intentional murder, you have special circumstances, you have second-degree murder, you have manslaughter if it's an accident. Obviously, there might be charges related to moving the body. Are there going to be potential sex charges? I mean, I think that would be obviously very...
I hope so. Because I don't think... Yeah. Because I'm telling you, bro, if his DNA is anywhere near that girl, send that nigga to the gulag, brother. Send him to the gulag with no weapon.
Important. I mean, again, we're just guessing right now.
Sure.
There's no death penalty here in California. There's been a moratorium. We haven't had an execution in 20 years. So don't expect to see the death penalty regardless of what the charges are. But again, first degree intentional premeditated murder, special circumstances, if there's any type of enhancements, that's all going to be very telling. And like, it's just a matter of days before this.
Anything, like, if it gets proven to be him, anything less than life with no parole is honestly an injustice. Only because y'all got rid of the death penalty. I'm personally of the mind that if you get caught diddling kids, you should get hit with the firing squad. That's just me though. I might be too extreme.
Evidence comes out.
And when you think about moving past Monday, and again, this has been a case that has developed, it feels like very slowly, and very much under wraps outside of the reporting that we've seen. Like, after Monday, depending on what the charges are, what does the timeline potentially look like for a prosecution of David?
Well, it's going to move quickly. Now, obviously, it's David's right to a speedy trial. And typically what you see is the defense waives their right. They want to get the discovery. They want to get all the evidence. So
they ain't going to want to get this discovery. They are not going to want to have, I promise you, I bet my bottom dollar, they are not going to want to have to go through discovery, brother. Because I fear what they're going to find if they start digging through his files, digging through his phones, digging through his Discord. I'm telling you, mark my words, that Discord has some unholy shit on it. I promise you.
What is typical is the defendant will waive time. That means they'll review the discovery and they'll see how they can challenge this case. Now, if you're looking at murders, and again, I'm assuming this is a murder case because he's being held without bond. I mean, typically you have 3 types of defenses. One, it wasn't me, right? So you got finger pointing, some,
the only way it could not have been David is if this man's op was like, I don't know, the Joker or Two-Face, bro. There's no way. Because everything, all roads are leading back to being you. And I know for the fact the person who created this symbol is probably disgusted that you're wearing it right now.
It was an accident, all right? I didn't intend to do it, right? So something happened that was something less than murder or some sort of self-defense. Now, obviously,
how?
Celeste Rivas, by all accounts, is a pretty small young girl.
That's what I'm saying. But David do seem like the type of bitch ass nigga to probably swing on a small ass girl and have it be like an actual squabble.
Surprised that there's a self-defense argument, just like Nick Reiner, right? Surprised you see self-defense in that type of case. His parents are a lot older. They're in their bedrooms. But typically, if you're seeing like what is the defense going to argue, they either argue identity, they argue intent, wasn't premeditated, it was an accident, something along those lines. It was manslaughter, heat of passion, legal insanity. You start attacking intent, or you start putting up some legal defense like self-defense. But again, I would be very surprised if it was self-defense in this case.
And I know we were talking about Neil Langston just a short time ago, but you think about witnesses in this case and who may have already talked to law enforcement, what type of information that law enforcement may have. We don't know what those conversations were like, but what are those conversations typically like in a general sense as a prosecutor when you have someone who might be a friend of David, might be a friend of someone who's now going to face some pretty serious charges, about getting that person in line with what you want as a prosecutor?
Well, Chris, I sort of cut my teeth on drug trafficking cases, and when you're dealing with any criminal organization, and I'm not saying David's entourage is a criminal organization, but what you want to do is you want to lean on the less culpable people in the organization. Maybe someone was, for instance, giving Celeste Rivas.
There's no way that nobody in his circle was aware of it. Because somebody, like, if we just go back and we look at the pictures of David sitting next to Celeste, right? I don't know where it's at because these niggas be flashing so many fucking pictures. But that picture of David and Celeste sitting next to each other on that couch, somebody else took the picture. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that nobody in David's circle was aware of this. They're just keeping their mouth shut because they understand how terrible it looks. And they rather save their own skins than try to get justice for this fucking 13-year-old girl who got killed by this weird-ass 20-year-old.
Drugs, maybe someone wasn't involved in the murder, but they had access to the Tesla. It seems like a lot of people did. What you want to do is lean on them and make sure they flip against the most culpable person in the organization. It's really,
even if they come out and confess to everything and they put him on blast and they actually lead to him getting arrested, I feel like that's not enough justice for being like culpable in it, for allowing it to happen. What's the contempt? You know what I'm saying? Just allowing it to happen. Complicit. That's the word. You just allowed it to happen, bro. Like I bet my bottom dollar there's at least 2 people in David's circle that know full well what happened with Celeste and what was going on with Celeste. And they know that it was weird, and they know that it was grooming, they know it was pedophilic.
Prosecution 101. And what makes some of these charges
strong,
let's say you have a conspiracy
this
charge,
nigga is so
conspiracy
weird.
to commit murder. You can really have nothing to do with actual murder, but if you're engaged in overt acts and furtherance of the conspiracy, it's a larger conspiracy. Let's say it's a...
Even if he didn't kill her himself, one of his homeboys did, there's no way he's not involved with it. There's just not. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Because, like, let's say oh, David was like letting somebody in his entourage mess with this 13-year-old girl, and it just looks like her and David were together, but really it was somebody else in his circle. You allowed that to happen, brother. You deserve to go to jail. There's like, you allowed it to happen. There is no reason why this child should be in your vicinity as much as she is. Maybe you ran into her at a fan meetup. That's the only time where it would be acceptable for you to be seen in pictures with this girl. Anywhere else, out of any other context, it's inexplicable, brother. You're strange. You're an oddball.
Trafficking conspiracy. Well, the next thing you know, you could be substantively on the hook for Celeste Rivas's death.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually kill her.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential.
If you had the ability to stop it and you didn't stop it, you deserve to catch a charge for it. And I've said what I said.
This is a certified hood classic.
I pressed the wrong button, but yeah, I said what I said.
Time that other individuals may be facing as co-conspirators, accessories, if they're aiding and abetting. And what you want to do is lean on them, make sure to get the information you want, make sure it's truthful, make sure they're going to cooperate. That's what that grand jury is for.
Every picture I see of her, she gets younger. She looks younger and younger, dude. How do you look at her and I just don't understand this shit, brother.
Testifying for the grand jury, lock them in, so that way when you move forward,
that's so crazy.
The person that you think is the most liable, the most culpable, seems like it's David here, that you have those witnesses locked in, because otherwise, guess what? They're going to be the next people to be charged and arrested.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, I mean, I'm sure for whether you're a detective on this case, you're a prosecutor who's been, kind of watching the evidence come in and you're thinking about what the charges could be. Emotionally, what is the moment like tonight, knowing that David is now in custody and you've hit a new level in this investigation in this case?
Yeah, certainly for law enforcement and the prosecution, I think there is going to be this burden lifted because, again, there have been folks like me. I've been very critical of law enforcement.
Even the lawyer had to admit that he was getting pissed off. Like, why is this nigga not arrested yet?
This doesn't make any sense to me. Why hasn't an arrest been made?
Yeah.
It's not David. Who is responsible for this? So
exactly.
I think there is that relief. But now the real work starts because now you have a lawyer on the other side and David has money.
And if they flub this, bro, I promise you niggas in LA are rioting. I'm telling you, man. And I'm joining.
And he's already lawyered up. At least that's my understanding. That's going to fight this tooth and nail. And because there's no death penalty in California, and because you're not going to give a discount on this case, you're not going to give David, if he really was involved in sort of recruiting or enticing this girl, potentially kidnapping her and killing her, you're going to give him anything less than life. So there's no real deal to be had here. There's no death penalty to take off the table. So this is the type of case that's very likely going to go all the way to jury trial. That's just the reality.
I hope it do, and I'll be there every step of the way.
But if you're talking about the people that I've been thinking of, it has to be Celeste Rivas's family. I can't imagine what they've been going through all these years. Your young girl goes missing and then she's found dead. You really don't have answers. So hopefully,
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, the parents are going through it, but I gotta be critical because, like, why does your daughter, like, they knew of her boyfriend, but they never actually, like, found out more information about the boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Your daughter's 13. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. I don't know. I'm not a parent, but I just don't see myself letting my 13-year-old be on Discord. I just
family.
That's nah. The thing is, I don't know how old her parents are, because there are parents who are not going to know or understand what Discord even is. So I doubt that, depending on, what generation they are, how old they are, there was probably no way for them to know to get that girl off of Discord. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't going to give it 100% to them, but yeah, you can't give your 13-year-olds unrestricted access to the internet. That is asking for something to go bad.
Can finally get some answers for everything that they've suffered through.
No, very well put. Former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Big breaking news tonight out of Los Angeles. Thank you as always for being with us on Long Crime.
Of course, Chris. Thanks for having me as always.
Yep. I ain't gonna lie, that dude's macaroni started to piss me off more. Yeah, man. So yeah, I think we can all collectively agree that David is flash fried. Yeah, we can all agree on that. There's genuinely just no other explanation other than that he did it. Either that or he has, like, the Riddler framing him. Those are the only ways. Those are the only options. Because and I'll even say this, I don't even think David is the one who killed her specifically. I don't, because he looks like he's too much of a bitch to do that. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't look like the type to actually get his hands dirty. I'm telling you, David had somebody else kill her. You know what I mean? He had somebody else kill her, and that's what they're gonna go. They're not gonna you know what I mean? I promise you, the defense, depending on what the charges are, the defense are going to focus on the fact that they can't prove that David is the one who directly killed her. You know what I'm saying? I promise you that's what they're going to go for. Because I just don't see any other way that you could even begin to defend this nigga, even with the limited information that we have now. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. Crazier things have happened, but this is one of those things where I was praying for a day like this, man. Anyway, y'all stay safe. Keep your minors off of Discord. Don't be on, like, genuinely. Stop it. Discord is such a disgusting app. I don't know, man. Y'all have a good day.